Good morning. Welcome to another day in Yangon. Today's mission is twofold. I want to beat the rain and I want to visit the National Museum. So far we're doing okay. I'm making a big deal out of the rain because it's defeated me on quite a few days since I've been here. I wake up in the morning and I have my breakfast, and I've met some really interesting people over breakfast at my guest house. So we get to chatting, we have another cup of coffee, we have a third cup of coffee, we're still chatting. Then I'm on my computer for a little bit. Then I'm figuring out where to go during the day, what adventures to embark on. And then I get ready, get organized, get packed up. I'm heading out the door, and boom, the second I step outside the door, the heavens open and the rain just pours down. And that's happened to me a couple of times since I've been here. So I've been learning that morning is when you want to be out in the city. If you're going to be on your computer or chatting with people, do that in the afternoon when it's raining. These blue sunny skies, they're valuable. And when you see blue sky, get out there and go exploring and beat the afternoon rain if you can. This museum, by the way, opened up sometime in the 50s in a small building. I think it was called the Jubilee Hall or something like that. And then it was moved to a bigger building on Pyay Road. But that building was never meant to house a museum, and it just wasn't very good for the museum displays. So they eventually moved again to this new location, which is quite a large 5-story building. And I think they have 14 exhibit halls spread out over 4 of the floors. One wrinkle with this museum is similar to other museums I've been to lately, where they do not allow cameras. So I might try to bring in my GoPro anyway. I'll take it off its mount here and just put it in my pocket. It doesn't really look like a camera, when you see it on its own. And then if that doesn't work out, I might just use my smartphone because, oddly enough, they tell you can't bring in a camera, which means you can't take pictures, but they will let you take pictures with your phone. So I might just set up my phone and use that to shoot a bit of video and pretend that I'm taking pictures while I'm doing that. See how that works out. It's starting to look promising. I caught a glimpse of a building that had a kind of a museum look to the architecture. This fence up here makes me think of a museum for some reason. Anything that has pillars like this and this kind of a open gateway, open fencing, could very well be a museum. That building looks to be 5 stories high. All signs are positive. And we're coming up on a gate. And again, with my luck, I'll be here on the one day of the week that they're not open. But I did my best. I did as much research as I could. There it is. Yeah, it is the National Museum. I can just see the sign on the front there. Very small little sign. National Museum. Okay, now that we're here at the gates, I'm going to put away my GoPro, or I might slip it into my pocket just to see what happens, and switch over to my smartphone. Very colorful sign here, National Museum, Yangon. And there's the building. Monolithic. This is a big museum. They're not messing around. Oh, and they've got a little Yangon cafe over here. I wonder if I should sit down for a few minutes and have a drink before I go in, just to relax. I've been doing a lot of walking to get here. Yeah, maybe that's the wise thing to do. Get a cold drink first. Oh, look at this. Very nice. Hello. Check this out. They brought me a chilled glass from the fridge. I would normally just drink straight out of the can, but can't resist being fancy here. Oh, I see a brochure over there on the window. Oh, such good stuff. So I'm going to grab a museum brochure and read up a little bit before I head in. And this brochure breaks down the museum quite nicely. On the ground floor, they have an exhibit about the Burmese script and the alphabet. And they also have their lion throne showroom. And apparently they call them 8 different kinds of thrones. And this one, the lion throne of King Thibaw, is the last one still in existence. All of the other ones were destroyed during World War II. On the first floor, they have a Myanmar civilization showroom, natural history and prehistory. Second floor is dedicated to Myanmar arts and crafts and performing arts and musical instruments. Third floor is the Myanmar Art Gallery and Myanmar Ancient Ornaments. And finally, the fourth floor is dedicated to a Buddhist art gallery and a display of the types of national dress of all the different ethnic groups that live in Myanmar. And when you look at the neighborhood map, you can see the National Museum is here, and just a short distance away is the Shwedagon Pagoda. So it would be kind of a nice combination to visit these two on the same day, because you have to come out into the same neighborhood. And then have lunch at this little cafe here, which actually is quite nice. They don't have a huge menu, but they have a simple hamburger, sandwiches, French fries, spring rolls, coffees, and then specialty drinks, ginger teas, and then they have Myanmar food as well. Rice, tea leaf rice. Yeah, it's nicely air conditioned in here. So I'm inside the museum now. It costs 5,000 chat for foreigners, and that's about $3 US, something like that. And I did have to leave my knapsack at the front desk in a locker there. You get a key to lock it up. So this first exhibit is all about the Myanmar alphabet, which I find really interesting, because all of the characters, are circular in design. And of course, if you're talking about Myanmar, you quickly learn that you're dealing with a lot of different periods of history and also different cultures and kingdoms. So for example, we have the Myanmar script here, and then the Mon script, Pyay script, all these different periods of histories and different cultures. So you can't really just talk about one language and one alphabet and one history. There's so many different kingdoms involved in the history of Myanmar, so it does get a bit complicated very quickly. This brick has a Pyay inscription on it, and it could be as old as 2,000 years old. I remember at the museum in Dagon being interested in the bricks there and all the brick making. And it continues here. There's a sample of bricks, 1,000 years old, 1,500 years old, and each of the bricks, has the name of the brick maker inscribed on it in the different languages of the time, using the different alphabets. This might be way too dark to come up on the video, but I thought that was very cool. This is a palm leaf writing. So each one of these sections is a slice, of a palm branch or a part of the palm, and they write on that poem, and then they stack them up almost like a deck of cards, one on top of the other. So in a way it's like a scroll, except that the scroll isn't wrapped up. It's like individual, strips all stacked one on top of the other. And you flip from one strip, to the next in order to read through the document or the book or whatever it is. And there's the royal lion throne. It's all in a room almost entirely to itself. Very impressive. And the throne is made out of a special type of wood called yamane, and then has gold overlaid on top of it. This hall has quite a special display of what they call royal regalia. And these are all special items made out of solid gold, and they each have a special spot where they are displayed on either the left or the right side of the lion throne that we saw down below. From what I read, 17 of them go on the left side, and perhaps 18 of them go on the right side. And they aren't used, they're not everyday objects, but are used for, solemn state occasions. This painting gives an idea of what's going on here. There's the royal lion throne in the middle, and then all of the royal regalia is on display either on the left side or the right side. I don't know if I've ever heard of anything quite like that before. I'm not sure what the purpose is of displaying all these items, with the throne of the king, what significance it has, and I don't know if I've ever heard of another country doing this. So there you go. That's why you come to the museum. You learn about the royal regalia. Wow, there's some beautiful items up here. My eyes were drawn right away to this big display in the middle. So I assume these are all instruments that would be performed together by a musical troupe. Someone sitting in the middle of each of these circles, playing those gongs all the way around, and then drums here on the right. I imagine back in the days when these were used, these musical groups would travel around the country, going from city to city and performing at weddings and other special events. And the local people would have to pool their money to hire them and pay for them to come to their town. Display right at the entrance shows one of these performing troupes with all those instruments. You can see that the men are sitting inside those circles to play all of the gongs and the drums. Yeah, it's very interesting. I don't think I've seen anything quite like that before. Just to prove that it's really me in here, I'm in a small exhibit of jewelry now, of all the different periods of Myanmar history. The Pyay, the Inwa, the Dagon, and some other periods of history. And there's a beautiful view of Yangon. I'm taking this from up on the 4th floor of the museum. See some of the greenery and a pagoda or two off in the distance there. And so far the rain has held off today. We'll see whether I can make it back to my guest house before the rain starts to come down. This exhibit also has musical instruments from all the different ethnic groups. And I came across this interesting creature right here. Got an alligator xylophone or something like that. Really beautiful. That was a crocodile xylophone. And now, look at this guy. I believe this is a crocodile harp. Very cool. I mean, if you have to play the harp, you might as well play a crocodile harp. This is me on the smartphone still outside the museum. My visit to the museum is over. And just as I was leaving, I was reading the signs at the ticket counter, and there's a sign there saying that there are audio guides available that you can rent. I didn't know about that at all. I never saw the sign on my way in, and I never read anything about that. Had I known in advance, perhaps I would have rented one of those, depending on how much it cost and if they had it in English. I assume they do. But anyway, that's something to realize when you come here. You do have the option of getting an audio guide, and that might be very helpful for going through the exhibits. Anyway, yeah, I enjoyed that very much. I'm going to head into the cafe here and have something to drink at least, and maybe try one of their burgers, have something to eat. And I ended up ordering 2 lunches because I was that hungry. I went for a basic chicken burger that you can see there with some fries. And then I ordered one of the Myanmar specialty foods, tea leaf rice. I've heard a lot about this food, and I haven't had it anywhere. I think there are a number of restaurants, in downtown Yangon, that specialize in this and are famous for their tea leaf rice, and I'll probably try one of those out at some point. But I ordered it here as well, so I'll have tea leaf rice and the chicken burger, and should be a pretty good meal. We'll see what tea leaf rice looks like. Well, the chicken burger didn't last long. I ate it within seconds. I'm very hungry. And my tea leaf rice has arrived. It's here. I'll show you what it looks like. So there's a tea leaf rice, and I guess it's tea leaf because it actually has, as you can see, tea leaves mixed in with the rice. And I don't know if it gives it a very strong flavor or anything like that. Peanuts on top. And yeah, very simple little dish. Let's give it a try. Tea leaf rice. It's good. Yeah, it actually has a, pretty much the flavor that you'd expect of tea leaves, If you ever swallowed and chewed up some tea leaves at the bottom of your cup after having a cup of tea, that's kind of what this rice tastes like. I don't know if like real traditional tea leaf rice, from the streets, would have a different flavor from this. I'm not sure. But yeah, tastes fine. Let's see if I can sneak a few seconds of video of my next favorite exhibit. This is actually a small flag of Myanmar that was taken to the moon by one of the American Apollo missions. So this flag has been to the moon and then was brought back to Earth and given to the people of Burma. And that small stone up at the top is actually a piece of stone from the moon. This fragment is a portion of a rock from the Taurus Littrow Valley of the moon. That's very cool. I came all the way to Myanmar so I could see an actual piece of the moon.